Today we are going to go over the Craig Jones vs. Chael Sonnen match from CJI2. The match starts off with Chael trying to go for a knee pick and transitions into a body lock from here. Most wrestlers will want to go towards the back, but Craig is actually very comfortable in this position. And notice how he has this tight wrap with his right arm. This is telling me that he's most likely either going to go for an Uchimata or a Hiragoshi from here. If Chael were to go towards the back, he would be loading up his own hips on top of Craig's and most likely be thrown from there. Chael does a really smart move here where he decides to go the other way, and because Craig doesn't have his right hand post available, Chael is able to roll Craig and end up in side control from here. Obviously, Craig didn't try extremely hard to stop that takedown. If anything, he's happy to be in this position because immediately he's able to go into a reverse buggy choke. The regular buggy choke is when you're facing towards your opponent. The reverse buggy choke is when you're facing away from your opponent. But the squeezing mechanics are essentially the same, so it's just as effective. Some details that we need to note for this reverse buggy choke is that Craig is grabbing his own right ankle and bringing it closer to him. He's also extending his right leg, and what he's trying to do is get his knee line above his elbow line. That is going to give him the proper leverage to squeeze his own leg. Craig then secures the S grip and he continues to pull his right leg towards him, so he's able to make a triangle formation with his left leg. This position here is probably the most optimal squeeze for a reverse buggy choke. He's using both his lower body and his upper body in a very intricate entanglement. But essentially, the choke is basically like an arm triangle, except you're using your entire body. After a few seconds of being squeezed to hell, Chael Sonnen decides to take a quick nap, and essentially the match is over in literally 30 seconds. Now, the great part about CJI is that it's Craig's own event, and he can basically do whatever he wants. Chael is calling for best 2 out of 3, and Craig says, why not? Let's do it. So now we're on to round 2. This time Chael opens up with a low single, brings Craig to the ground, and we see here that Craig probably could have gone for another reverse buggy choke, but that wouldn't be any fun. So he decides to go into a turtle position, performs a Granby roll to retain guard, and now Chael is trying to pass. I think the average viewer can realize that Chael is actually trying to pass and take this seriously, and Craig is just so good that he's just kind of letting whatever happens. You can see here that he's curled up in a fetal position, just inviting Chael to do something at this point. Chael steps over, goes back into side control. No threat of a reverse buggy choke here because Craig's arm is on the inside. Craig goes back to turtle, and it looks like for a brief second that Chael was trying to go for an armbar from turtle position. Something like you would see here in this example. But the problem is that Craig was rolling way too quickly for him at this point. The armbar is nowhere near to being tight, and then Craig is actually able to end up on top from here. Now notice here how Craig is bringing his upper body very far forward, and Chael actually tries to use that to his advantage and goes for a leg entry from here. Very unexpected from Chael, but it was actually a decent leg entry. You can see that Chael has both of his feet planted on Craig's body, and that just tells me that he really doesn't have a lot of experience with leg locks.
So now when he goes to start rolling in this direction, he exposes his own heel to an outside heel hook, okay? And now if he continues rolling in this direction, I just roll through with him and I break him. What Nicky Rod did was actually smart. He realized, man, if I keep rolling that way now, I'm going to get my own leg broken. So he tried to turn back towards me, and he tried to tuck his heel in towards my hip. The problem is, with the configuration of the legs, with the inside ashi, my legs can always turn his knee out and away and expose the heel. So now when he goes to turn towards me, he'll break his own leg because my legs reaped across his. And now it's the easiest thing to expose the heel, start putting pressure on, and we ultimately got to a finish with Nicky Rod here. He didn't try to roll, he just tapped right away.
Can you push it there just so I feel exactly what is happening?
So once we get here, we want to ultimately go belly down. We want to tighten everything up.
Oh my god, man.
And now we lock everything in, and we're ready to go in. And before
even this pressure here is insane.
But before the hands even come up, like just locking the ashigurami in place, you feel like you're almost on breaking
that's
point.
Crazy.
And then when the chin and the hands connect, you feel like if I move at all, you're going to break in half from here.
That's crazy. I wish there was a way to press a button everybody can feel. Because it's not only the heel, like, I felt like my leg would go in.
Yeah, just feel like your whole leg's going to explode.
This is not something that you would see from high level competition. And so Craig is able to grab Chael's right ankle with his right hand, brings that across his body, and starts putting forward pressure to go for that leg drag position. You can see that Chael is trying to push Craig away and trying to get his right leg back into position, but Craig uses that right hand again to cup Chael's right knee, continue entering that leg drag position, and then he's easily able to transition into side control. Whether this was done on purpose or not, Craig does let go of the crossface on his left hand side, and because there's no crossface there, Chael is able to turn into Craig. He also has the underhook on his left side, and that allows him to get to his side. Craig responds by going towards the back from here. And it looks like from here, Craig was trying to go for some sort of inverted reverse triangle or something along those lines. But Chael was aware enough from this position to be able to grab Craig's right ankle from here to prevent his legs from locking up. He's able to turn into Craig and end up back on top again. Now we see that Craig willingly invites Chael in, and we know that because he has his right elbow flared up very high from here. Not something that you would probably do against a high level grappler, because notice how Chael immediately jumps on that, tries to get a head and arm grip, and potentially go into an arm triangle situation. But obviously when Craig is giving you something easy like that, it's going to be a trap. So when Chael commits, Craig is now able to lock up a traditional buggy choke. Notice how the mechanics are pretty similar to what he did before. He's grabbing onto his right leg with his left arm, pulling that in, and he's extending his right arm at the same time to get his leg above the elbow line so he can get a proper squeeze. This time he goes for the Gable grip, and that is enough pressure for him to put Chael out for a second time in a row. And Chael, being the hilarious person that he is, as soon as he wakes up, he asks for the best 3 out of 5. And John McCarthy has to let him know that we're probably going to have to just stop here. Overall, it was a very fun exhibition match. Now we have to remember, even though Chael is older, he's been a lifelong wrestler, and the man has fought for a UFC title in the past. When he was fighting in MMA, he was known for his grappling skills. So the fact that Craig is basically able to do whatever he wants in this match and make Chael look like the way he did, it really shows how high level these jiu-jitsu guys are nowadays. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown, and I will see you in the next video.